Welcome to the Undisputed podcast. I'm your host, Jenny Taft. This podcast is the full show from today's episode of Undisputed from start to finish. They've got a busy slate, so Skip, Shannon, let's get to it.
Good morning. Welcome to Undisputed. I'm Jenny Taft with Skip Bayless and Shannon Sharpe. Guys, how we doing?
Now the playoffs start for your Lakers. The Rockets' red glare, the three-point bombs bursting in air. Here we go.
Oh, so you ready?
I think you're going to have some big problems.
How many cases we got on that?
Let's see.
Okay.
We're about to do that in just a minute.
Okay.
Yes, we are.
All that confidence.
I'm very confident.
Before we get to the Lakers and who they'll be facing, we got to break down everything we saw last night because it provided another thrilling end to a Game 7. James Harden went 1 for 9 from beyond the arc for only 17 points, but made up for it on the defensive end when it mattered. Up 1 with 3 seconds left. Harden blocked the three-point attempt by Lou Dort, who'd had a game that would have given the Thunder the lead. After Houston made 1 of 2 free throws, OKC had a second left to inbound, but couldn't complete a pass to get a shot off in time. So, Shannon, did the Rockets win this game, or did the Thunder lose it?
The Rockets. The Thunder lost this ball game. Skip, they were the best team in clutch situations. And the previous games that they won those games in clutch situations. Nobody was better in clutch situations than Chris Paul this year. And for whatever reason last night, they weren't good. You look at it, Skip, they went 1 for 9 with 4 turnovers in the final 4 minutes. Chris Paul missed a bunny. He's in the lane 5 feet from the basket, and he left it short. Dennis Schroeder earlier, Skip, he missed 2 point-blank layups. That's not like them. Those are the shots that they were making in the previous games that they had won. And Chris Paul took 1 shot in the final 8 minutes, Skip, after making 3 of his shots and 2 of them were threes? That's what Chris... No, come on. Skip, in a game in which Lou Dort gives you 30. You got to, in a game in which he gives you 30 and James Harden struggles on the offensive end like he did, that's a game you've got to win. You've got to win that game. All you wanted to do was give yourself an opportunity late in the ball game. They didn't blow you out. It wasn't a situation you were trying to play catch up for the entirety of the ball game. You were right where you wanted to be. I guarantee you, if the OKC Thunder was drawing this game up, say, how would you like for it to play out? Just give us a chance with the last 5 minutes in the ball game. That's all we can ask for. Billy Donovan, that's all he wanted, was an opportunity to be in this ball game late in the ball game. And it was right there for them for the taking. And they let it go. They let this ball game go. There's no other way around it. I tell you what I did like. I like a guy, Skip, that when he's struggling on the offensive end or struggling in any aspect of his game, he finds another way to impact the ball game. And in years past, I'm not so sure James Harden would have done what he did last night because those 3 block shots, those steals were big considering that how poorly he had played offensively. But Skip, the Thunder lost this ball game. There's no other way around it. They go 1 for 9, 4 turnovers in the final 4 minutes when they've been as good as anybody in the NBA in those situations. What hurt them the most, Skip, was turnovers. And if you go back and look at it, normally they pounded Houston on the glass. Houston turned the ball over. Well, if Houston's going to stay close to you in the ball game as far as rebound, and you're going to turn it over, this is what happened. And they lost this ball game. But the Thunder gagged this one off, Skip. There's no other way around it. Gallinari had made how many? 57 straight free throws? And what did he do? Coming up? Spit the bit. Chris Paul should have taken that shot because he was 6 for 6 in the ball game, Skip. He's a 90% free throw shooter. I understand Gallinari had made 57 straight, but let me ask you a question.
29 in a row in
these playoffs.
Yeah.
But let me ask you a question, Skip. How was he shooting the ball last night? How many in a row did he make last night? We're not talking about, see, you want to talk about, oh, he did this, he did that. Last night.
If you were the coach, you're sending Danilo Gallinari
I'm letting Chris Paul. I'm letting Chris Paul shoot that shot.
Stop it.
Skip, the man is 90%.
That's the easiest 2020 hindsight I have ever heard in the history of Undisputed.
Ask Steve.
59 in a row? It's absurd.
Skip, how was he playing last night?
I don't care.
See?
And last night.
And that's why you're going home.
Big shots for this team.
I'm talking about last night.
Oh, stop it.
I'm talking about last night. See, you keep going, but see, that's the thing. You like to dig up the past. Well, he did this, he did that. We're talking about right now in the moment.
I'm digging up the present.
And how did he play?
59 in a row? You're kidding. There's no way. If you're sitting in Billy Donovan's seat, there's no way you say, Chris, you go shoot this.
Can I ask you a question?
Stop it.
How was he playing last night? That's all I'm asking. How was he playing last night? Did you notice, of all the people that played in the game last night, he had the lowest plus-minus. Excuse me, highest. It was in a bad way. He was minus 16 in 27 minutes. Go ahead.
I am going to take nothing away from the Houston Rockets. They won this game in all the little big ways. They've been winning lots of games this year since they went small. I have told you again and again and again and again and again, the Rockets now play defense. The Rockets now disrupt you with their amoeba zones and their small ball scramble defenses where they all play all 5 positions. And guess who leads the playoffs to date in forcing turnovers? Oklahoma City's turned the ball over. It's because they're getting it turned over by the Houston Rockets. If you look at this team right now, who, like in the playoffs so far, Covington is 3rd in deflections. James Harden is 5th in the playoffs in loose balls recovered. Who in the history of the NBA could have imagined James Harden, who can just fat cat it? That's his reputation, that he's not going to try hard. He's going to play no defense. He's 5th in the playoffs so far in loose balls recovered. And P.J. Tucker leads in the playoffs in charges taken. That's how they're beating people, with their defense. Last night, they clamped down on the Thunder down the stretch, and this was the clutchest team in the NBA, and they were having a hard time finding a shot over that stretch that you're talking about. And all I know is that the shot of the game came from the least likely source on the Rockets. And you got to give credit to P.J. Tucker.
Yeah.
And if you look at the box score, what did he do for the game? P.J. Tucker has a grand total of
5 points.
2 of 8. He has 5 points, but look at that. He had 9 rebounds, and he had 4 steals. But he had 1 shot that won the game. With 1:25 left, what had Shai Gilgeous-Alexander just done? He had escaped wide open to the corner. They had found him, and he had buried the 3 that suddenly put, wait a second, the Thunder are up. So the Thunder up. I love that expression from back in the day with obviously Durant and Westbrook in my hometown of Oklahoma City. Thunder up. And all of a sudden, Houston comes down to the other end, and if we could see this shot that PJ made, they run him off the 3-point line because all he does is shoot corner threes. That's all. His whole life is corner threes. And Steven Adams made a run at him, and he goes up and under, and watch this. From James Harden, up and under. That's a hard shot. It's a little 12-foot running jumper. You don't expect it. How many of those did he shot in the whole year? Because I checked this out. During the year, he attempted 299 threes. He attempted only 127 twos in the race. So only 30% of his shots in the regular season were from 2-point. And that's a running jumper where you're kind of going toward the basket. And it's a touch shot that's not in your repertoire. So you're like, how do I do this? Do I just barely do it? How do I just gently leave it just over the rim? He swished it. They never relinquished the lead from that point forward. So then we come down to the play of the game that you mentioned for the Oklahoma City Thunder, and Chris Paul has had a sensational year. He has led in clutch points. I got it. But he creates for himself an 8-foot wide-open jumper in the lane. Okay, this is it now. This is for the lead. And to your point, he kind of short arms it and doesn't even get it up on top of the rim. It's so short, it just bangs off the front of the rim. And that's basically going to be the ball game, which brings us...
If you give Chris Paul 10 of those shots, how many do you think he makes?
Game 7, 44 seconds left. I don't know. If it's all about circumstance. Chris Paul's never played in the NBA Finals. It's all about circumstance. But you want Gallinari taking that free throw, Game 7. 59 in a row? That's absurd. It's just absurd. Okay, so it had been the Lou Dort Memorial Game. I love Lou Dort. I have tweeted about him before. I have said Sam Presti strikes again. Chip off the block of R.C. Buford in San Antonio. Sam Presti is always, like R.C. Buford, finding that guy that nobody else seems to know about. So Lou Dort played 1 year at Arizona State, where James Harden obviously played. And what did Lou Dort do in his 1 year? He was the Pac-12 Freshman of the Year. And he made first-team All-Defense Pac-12. He made second-team All-Pac-12.
He was Defensive Player of the Year.
Okay, so wait a second. He went undrafted, and the Thunder stole him, and they sort of stashed him in the G League for much of this year. Not much, but a part of this year. And all of a sudden, the first time I saw him play, I said, that kid can play.
He built like a football player.
He's a strong safety. He's 6'3", 220. In all the years I have watched James Harden, a revolutionary, game-changing offensive player, I have never seen anybody defend him better than Lou Dort defends him. I believe they have played against each other pickup games at Arizona State off-season because obviously they both went there.
Right.
And there's something about this kid where he beats him to the spot every time. James Harden can't get past him.
Right.
James Harden can get past anybody. Obviously, with the threat of the step-back three, he puts you on skates and he beats you right-handed or left-handed to the basket. And Lou Dort will not let him get an inch either way.
Right.
I've never seen. He's doing it with stoutness and quickness because he's so wide. James is like, I can't find a crease.
Yeah.
He's beating me to the spot every time. He's heading me off at the pass every time.
He slides well. He has great lateral movement, Skip, but at 220 pounds, he's not easily dislodged from his spot. And so that's what James normally could do. He could normally get separation, dip his shoulder, and the kid is right there. Like I said, he's built like a football player. He's not, you look at his shoulders, those are not basketball shoulders.
Nope. So Lou Dort was also dominating the game on the offensive end.
He was.
And just for the record, in this series so far, up to last night, he had shot 7 for 38 from three. That's 18%. During the regular season, he was a 29.7 three-point shooter.
Yeah.
Okay, what's the game plan going to say about Lou Dort? Let him shoot.
Yes.
Let him shoot. And Lou Dort has the highest arc of any three-point shooter in the league. He just launches these moon balls. And last night, who knew?
It's going in or he's missing by a mile.
He could miss them by a mile. But they started to rain from heaven right through the hoop. He makes 6 three-point shots and scores 30 points. How often is Oklahoma City going to be able to trust and depend that? Nothing. You're never going to get that again.
There's only been two, before Lou Dort, there's only been 2 guys, 21 or younger, to score 30 points in a Game 7. You might have heard of them. One is Kobe Bryant, the other is LeBron James. Lou Dort is in that company now, Skip. That's going to be a trivia question one day.
Have mercy. So he is the reason they're afloat. They're in the game. And I told you yesterday, if Oklahoma City can somehow hang in this until the last couple of minutes, I'm figuring Oklahoma City's going to find another way to win.
Yes.
So let's get to that final possession, and let's look at what James Harden did. Was he pouting? Did he go into his shell on defense? No, he's playing his tail off on defense, even though he can't scratch on offense.
Right.
He's frustrated and tormented, but now let's see this last play unfold. Here we go. Chris Paul, he's got nowhere to go, and he gives it up to Shai Gilgeous.
Almost got it stolen by Russ.
And all of a sudden, look at James. He was guarding Steven Adams, and he had to wait until the last split second to leave Steven, because if he leaves him too early, Shai Gilgeous is going to just lob for a dunk. Look at this. James is guarding the center, and at the last second, he bolts sprinter right out of the blocks. And again, who has been fouled the most in NBA history on three-point shots? Who understands how to draw a foul on a three-point shot? James Harden.
Right.
He's the ultimate foul drawer on three-point shots. Well, conversely, he's the ultimate, I know how not to foul on a three-point shot.
Well,
so look what he did. He went sideways, and he uses his left arm, but he makes sure he completely missed Dort's body. He goes completely sideways to block it.
The thing is with him is because he's left-hand dominant, he's a left-handed shooter, and Dort is right-handed, it's the perfect scenario. So he doesn't have to run towards his body.
But the left is actually your off arm.
Yeah.
You'd think you'd go more with your right, but he knows if I go with my right, I'm going to foul him.
More times than not, Skip, you're going to try and block the shot with your dominant hand.
Okay, I got that, but it's more savvy and sly to try to bend,
to the side.
to angle left a little bit and use your left to block it. And this is the hottest hand on the court. Lou Dort has the ball in his hands, and number 7 is about to happen.
But guess what he had saw earlier in the earlier game? He saw 2 situations that got somebody in trouble because they went straight on and they ended up fouling him.
Yeah, I don't know if he saw it, but again,
he probably saw it or heard about it.
It's highly possible. But
that's
to get
perfect.
A clean block with not even a hint of a foul, there's no body touch at all, and then avoid the throwback bounce, although Dort had already stepped out of bounds, so he was already out of bounds. But again, this is James Harden. James Harden made a defensive play to save the game.
Skip, you remember a couple of years ago, Manu got James Harden with the same block. He got it from back blocking with the left hand.
That was all Manu ever did. This is a new guy. This is new James.
James Harden is what makes this defense go. Because if you look at Covington plays defense, P.J. Tucker plays defense. Now, Russ is not a defensive guy, but it's James Harden.
Russ will play hard.
Yeah, because, Skip, your leader has to buy in. James Harden has to buy in and says, okay, I got to scrap here. I got to get on the floor and get some of these loose balls also. You just can't have 2 of your 5 on the floor getting loose balls. So when he bought in, as you mentioned, deflections, steals, blocking shots, now it's contagious. Give him credit. Like I said, he found another way to impact the game, even though his offensive game was not there. And had he not made this, Skip, considering he was 4-15 and the way he shot the 3 ball, he would have been getting crushed this morning, and rightfully so.
Okay, and guess who else would have been crushed this morning? If I look at the fourth quarter box score, his partner in, so to speak, crime, Russell Westbrook, in the fourth quarter, goes 1 for 8. How many wild drive shots just banged up went Westbrook off the rim? And that would have come under scrutiny. But James, on defense, saved the day.
He did.
And then I'm going to give Russ credit because Oklahoma City, the clutchest team in basketball this year, had one last inbounds from their end of the court with 1.8 seconds left to maybe create another 3 for, who knows, Lou Dort. And they can't get the ball in bounds. And Shai Gill just tries, and Russ gets a hand on it. Russ gets a hand on it first, and PJ goes and snags it.
Can I ask you a question?
Okay, that's defense. That's the Houston Rockets playing defense. They couldn't even get the ball in bounds.
You used 2 timeouts. You used 2. And the best play you came up with was Steven Adams going away from the basket at 7 foot tall.
Again, Mark Jackson was making the point. I think Tim Legler made it after the game also. It just looked like Steven Adams would wheel to the basket because they have nobody his size. They're guarding him with 6'5" people.
And here's the thing, Skip. If you go back and look at it, P.J. Tucker is fronting him with nobody behind him because Covington is way over.
How tall is P.J.? Maybe 6'4"-ish?
Give him 6'5" just to be nice.
Maybe?
Steven Adams is 7 foot tall.
He's 7 feet
So there's
tall.
nobody behind him, and a 6'5" is fronting a 7 foot.
I just kept thinking they're going to lob it up for a dunk at the buzzer to win the game. Because
tie the game, because it would have been tied.
That's right. But it again, the clock isn't going to start until he touches the ball. So if you lob it at the rim and he goes and snags it in the air,
he has plenty of time. 1.2 seconds, Skip. He can catch it and just turn, because he's right there at the basket. And that's what you come up with after 2 timeouts. You get your 7-footer going away from the basket. That's the only thing you can come up with. Skip, I thought if he's in the game, Steven Adams has got to set better screens than that, or he's of no use. You're not really trying to get him the ball. He's in there because he's a big body and can screen. Those screens were some bull jive. So he was really of no use. You'd have came out better putting Dort in the game. At least you got another shooter, because that screen that he set was terrible.
You ready to fire Billy Donovan? Is that where you're headed?
No, Skip, they had a less than 1% chance of making the playoffs. I thought this might have been Billy Donovan's best coaching job, considering he got this team into the playoffs, got them to a Game 7 with an opportunity to realistically win this game. I thought this might have been his best coaching job.
Okay. I do not think this was Mike D'Antoni's best coaching job, because I'm never sure exactly how much he coaches. But somehow, maybe it was from James, this team morphed into a defensive-minded team. And again, they play this weird amoeba zone where they're just constantly switching. You take Adams, now you take Adams, now you take Adams, because nobody's big enough to take at him.
No.
But they front him, they back him, they front him. They are constantly morphing into different schemes.
Well, because he's not an offensive threat.
Yep.
He's the type of guy, Skip, that'll roll to the basket, get a dunk, he'll get a lob, or he'll get a putback. So you're not really running offensive sets for him, so they don't really put a whole lot of emphasis. What's the likelihood? I mean, Chris Paul tried to one time say, get down on the block, I'm going to give it to you. And he shoots some kind of shot that wasn't even close to going in.
Yep.
The next team, you do realize Anthony Davis can post up P.J. Tucker. He can shoot over the top. He can put it on the floor and get to the rack. So if you play him like that, it's going to be a whole different outcome. But last night, Skip, the Thunder had been so great in these situations. And this is what Skip, you dream of a situation that you've been great in.
Yep.
It's kind of like if you're in the spelling bee, Skip, you see these kids, they get a word that they practice and they start jumping. Skip, I know it, I got it. I'm going to win the spelling bee. Well, the Thunder, this is the situation that you dream for. 33 times in the regular season, you've been in this situation, you come away victorious. But for some reason last night, and I get it, it's Game 7. Look, there's no, let's get the elephant out of the room, Skip. Chris Paul and Scott Foster do not like each other. They don't like each other.
I know, but Scott Foster remember, James Harden said he shouldn't be allowed to ref our games anymore.
I think he might be the most disliked official in all of basketball. And it's Game 7 because I think Chris Paul lost another Game 7 in which Scott Foster is officiated. But he gave him a delay of game. It just, Skip, do I think officiating had an impact on this game? Chris Paul clearly does. I don't, because I think the last 2 minutes, they were playing football. Everybody was running over everybody, and I was like, oh, that's a foul. And everybody looking around, and ain't nobody called nothing. And right before the half, Skip, you remember Scott Foster called a foul on Covington in the backcourt. There's an official standing right there looking at it. And he didn't say a word. Scott Foster come way in like Usain Bolt. I got a foul on you, bro.
And he called it with relish, like, I gotcha.
Yeah.
So in the end, Mike D'Antoni used the ultimate cliche, and yet it's the first time I ever heard this cliche used on the Houston Rockets featuring James Harden.
Right.
He said, games of this magnitude in the playoffs, you win with heart.
Yeah.
I thought in the end, Houston out-hearted Oklahoma City.
Yeah.
Houston just played a little harder. It turned into a beautifully ugly basketball game. It was kind of hard to watch, but gripping for all the wrong reasons. It was turnovers and missed drive layup shots and faux pas, and yet in the end, Houston prevailed because Houston played harder on defense.
And normally in Game 7s, when it's close, it comes down to getting a stop. If we go back to 2016, Skip, it was the block. You've got to get a stop. You've got to come up with that one play. You've got to get 50-50 balls. And the Rockets got more of those. But the thing that they didn't do that OKC did was that OKC turned the ball over. Remember in Game 6, they had 22 turnovers, and Thunder took care of the ball. And they pounded them on the glass. This game was just the reverse. OKC turned the ball over. The Rockets took care of the ball, and they only gave up +3 in the rebounding margin. Well, if you don't pound them on the glass, if you're not +10, +15, +20, and so I already know what's going to happen. We go every game.
You know, I do too. The king is going to be the king of turnovers in this series because he's going to get his pocket picked right and left.
By who?
By all the Rockets.
Okay.
Watch.
Okay. I want that energy now. I want that, I want that energy. I want that energy because by the time, let's see. By the time we come back in on Monday, we'll be up 2-0.
Okay. I might bet a case or two on that.
Oh, I think so. It is a quick turnaround for the Rockets. And how about Harden's post-game interview with the swearing? I know we're not supposed to swear on TV, but I loved the honesty, acknowledging that he hadn't played well. It was refreshing.
Oh, you mean to tell me somebody else swears besides LeBron James?
It happens.
I ain't swear.
It does happen occasionally. He apologized.
No mercy.
After being released by Jacksonville, running back Leonard Fournette has already found a landing spot in Tampa, joining Tom Brady and the Bucs. According to Fox Bet, the Bucs are at +130 to win the division, behind the Saints at +100. So, Shannon, you've said the Saints will win the NFC South. Does adding Fournette change your prediction for the Bucs? Be honest here.
Yeah. No. I still got the Saints. I think the Saints are more talented from an offensive standpoint, Skip. I like their overall body of work, and they've been together for an extended period of time. Do I think he'll help? Absolutely. Leonard Fournette caught 76 balls last year. nobody throws to the running back more than Tom Brady, Skip. We know that goes back to the beginning, from Patrick Pass to all those running backs, the James White, the Deion Lewises. He loves throwing to the running back. So Tom Brady, considering that Leonard Fournette caught 76 balls last year, the running back room, so now they have Leonard Fournette, Ronald Jones, Keyshawn Vaughn, rookie out of Vanderbilt.
Say that again, please.
I don't know. Well, he didn't do too much. Did Vanderbilt win a game last year?
Vanderbilt University.
Did they win a game last year?
They keep winning national championships in baseball. I don't know how they do it, but they just keep on keeping on.
So he should be pitching there, though, or playing first base or something.
Yep.
So it's going to be very interesting, but this is a new system, Skip. The box should be lighter because you have Tom Brady, you have those two guys outside, you have Gronk, you have the tight end. So I believe he'll be running into a lighter box than he ever ran in Jacksonville. Can he stay healthy? He seems to always have these little ticky-tack, knick-knack injuries, Skip. He ran a foul, and maybe that's Tom Coughlin and the way they do business down there, but it seems like he was always in the doghouse for maybe missed practice or showed up late or something. He was always on Jacksonville's bad list or something for some reason. But for me, Skip, I'm going to say the Saints still win the division because I love the addition of Emmanuel Sanders. I love Jared Cook. Skip, Jared Cook is better. People don't realize Jared Cook is better than people think. He can.
Who doesn't think that?
You
remember that playoff game?
Yeah, he went to Jared.
Jared Cook?
He made a couple $100,000 on that photo. Ooh. So I'm going to still say the Saints win this division. Maybe do I give them now 9? Do I give this the Bucks 10-6? Maybe, and get that last playoff spot, but they're not winning the division.
Maybe. So, quick stat for you. No NFL team has ever played in a home stadium Super Bowl.
And it still won't.
Until now.
No, they're not happening.
Super Bowl, here comes Tampa Bay.
Oh, Lord.
Tampa Bay playing in Tampa Bay Super Bowl. Here we go. It just happened right before your very eyes. This was the last piece to the Super Bowl puzzle. I'm not sure who has to go here because I fear that my man LaShawn McCoy, Shady as they call him, I'm afraid he's going to have to be shaded out.
Oh, I forgot. I didn't mention him. Yeah, you're right.
He's 32 years of age, and I still like him, and I thought he was going to contribute to this team. But Leonard Fournette is 25 years of age, and to your point, last year, he caught the 5th most balls among running backs, which is pretty good for 6 feet, 225 pounds, because he's not little Christian McCaffrey.
Because you don't think of him as being a receiving back.
You do not. But he had the 5th most yards and the 5th most catches among running backs. Also last year, he had a game on the road at your Broncos, week 4, in which he went 225 yards on 29 workhorse carries. That's an average of 7.8 per. And he had a big game at Cincinnati, 131 on 29 carries. And then he had a big one at Carolina, 108 on 23 carries. He can ground and pound.
Oh, yeah.
So all of a sudden, you have your stud back. I mean, all he was the 4th overall pick just 3 years ago. And we already know about all the nuclear power you have in Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, who, by the way, Pro Football Focus ranked Chris Godwin last year the #1 receiver in football. You have the GOAT of tight ends, Gronkowski, who is only 31, and I still think he's got 3 or 4 high-quality years. Well, you lasted to 35.
Yeah, but I didn't have the injuries that he had.
You're still winning a Super Bowl in Baltimore at what age?
But
32,
33, something like that. But Skip, you got to realize, I didn't have the injuries as far as, he had the ACL, he had the elbow, he's had the back. So
he just sat out a whole year.
Yeah. So we're gonna see if there's any rust, but I like the addition. I do.
And again, we read all the stories about all the issues that Leonard Fournette caused in Jacksonville under the Tom Coughlin, my way or the highway
remember,
regime.
He's suing for the money that they voided. For whatever reason.
Now Bruce Arians gets the benefit that Bill Belichick got the last 19 years in New England. He's got Tom Brady, so to speak, sort of overseeing the locker room. And Tom Brady will make sure that Leonard Fournette gets that we're going to do it this way. Because he'll love Tom Brady and Tom will love him. But Tom will make it clear in the locker room, we have to do it this way if we're going to go win that championship, right?
See, Skip, see what you just said? You said culture plays a big part in winning and losing.
Well, sure it does.
Oh, but We've been trying to say that. There's another thing that culture plays a role in the system that we're trying to get turned around.
Oh.
Yeah, you see how the culture?
Okay.
It is
I'll buy that.
This is the way we do things.
Okay.
But go ahead, carry on your point.
I got it. The other thing that everybody else is overlooking that also will be lifted spiritually by Tom Brady is the defense. I think it's top 5. I think it is loaded, and Todd Bowles is a top 5 defensive coordinator. He is top 5 to
The
me.
secondary is suspect.
Okay, but look at the front 7. Can we talk about a Shaq Barrett who led the NFL in sacks? Can we talk about Ndamukong Suh, who's not too old to be a force in the middle? Can we talk about JPP? Can we talk about Vita Vea? And you don't think Levante David is a stud? How about
Give him
Devin
LSU.
White out of LSU? Whew.
They got some thumpers. They got some guys that can come in here.
They got firepower. The last, was it 8 games last year? They were top 5 defense in productivity. Again, the team went 7-9. Well, you give Brady all these weapons plus Leonard Fournette, they're going to win the NFC South.
Well, Shaq Barrett's going to get a little bit more attention this year than what he got last year. By the time they realized that, man, Shaq Barrett is pretty good. I mean, the Broncos knew they were good. He was good, Skip, because remember, they didn't want to give him up because they had a trade on the table at one point in time for Joe Thomas, and they didn't want to give him up because he was a valuable backup to D. Ware and Von Miller. But, you know, they take Bradley Chubb, and so there was no room for him. But Shaq can rush the quarterback. He can rush the quarterback. I believe the line going to slide towards him, and that's going to give JPP an opportunity. That'll give Ndamukong Suh opportunity. Is Ndamukong Suh the same pass rusher that he once was? No, Skip. He can have spurts here or there. He's still a solid defensive player, but he's not what he once was. We're going to see how well JPP coming off. I think he had back surgery. He had a surgery or something last year, missed a few games. But they're secondary. Now, the question is, it go hand in hand. I don't have to hold up a long time, Skip. If I got a front seven, they can go get the quarterback.
That's true.
So if they can put pressure on the quarterback, you're not going to ask a whole lot of your secondary. But if they can't, it could be in for a long evening.
The momentum is in Tampa Bay.
Ain't no momentum.
Momentum is like crazy in Tampa Bay. I respect what New Orleans has on paper. I can go with you. Maybe they're a little better top to bottom on paper, but they don't have the GOAT at quarterback. The GOAT trying to show Belichick how wrong he was.
Well, Leonard Fournette, you know, first game of the season there in New Orleans. That's Leonard Fournette hometown. You know, I got to show out for it. Anytime you go home, you got to show out. You got to try to show out.
Well, thank you.
Cam Jordan said, I'm going to put a stop to that, though.
Oh, is he?
Yeah, Cam Jordan said, and DeMario Davis is going to put a stop to that.
You just unmade your own case?
What?
You just said he's going to show out?
I said he going to want to show out. Yeah, but we got to make sure, But you can't come, hold on, you can't come to my house. I don't care if you used to live there and show out in my house. Where you do that at?
I got Brady over Breeze in that.
I do not. And we got some cases on that.
By the way, we got that game on Fox.
That's right.
Here we go. This is it.
I might even have to turn the sound on.
Really?
I want to hear Cam Jordan when he come and put the pads on top. Clack, clack. I need to hear this.
You need to put the sound on always, Shannon. I feel like, right? Are you?
No.
You might be missing something
I ain't
if
missing
you're not
that.
listening.
I'm not missing anything.
Guys, I actually want to talk about the other Bucks in the bubble because Game 2 between the Bucks and the Heat, well, it came down to the very end last night. Let me break it down here. The Bucks tied it with 4 seconds left thanks to Chris Middleton being fouled on a three-point attempt by Goran Dragic that the Heat couldn't challenge after using it earlier in the game. Jimmy Butler on the other end missed a corner jumper at the buzzer, but a foul was called on Giannis, who appeared to slightly brush Butler, and the Bucks were also out of challenges. Butler made both free throws with no time remaining to win, go up 2-0 in the series. So, Shannon, were these the right calls or wrong calls?
Right or wrong, Skip? Why you put yourself in that situation?
It's a good question.
Skip, for me, for Giannis, now Jimmy Butler has it going in the first game, and you want no parts of it. Wesley Matthews has him dead to right. Skip, if he hits that shot, you just turn and look at Mike Budenholzer and says, the guy hit a tough shot. Why would you come over there, Giannis? Wesley Matthews has him perfect. Jimmy Butler's going to have to take a 20-foot fall-away jumper. If he takes a 20-foot fall-away jumper and hits it at the buzzer, like, damn, coach, you hit a great shot. There's nothing else I could have done.
Okay.
Dragic, you run there. I mean, you got to get a guy. And you look, these guys are good, Skip. They know all the tricks of the trade. Dragic's like, oh, I'm just going to give him a little bit with my lower body. You see, I'm going straight up. I'm going straight up.
Yep.
Come on. Don't even put yourself in that situation. If he hits that shot, Skip, sometimes you got to live with it. These guys are great, but don't put... He almost hit a 4-point play, and then you'd have been sick. You really would have been sick, Dragic, if you let that get, because I don't even know why you even put yourself in that situation. Skip, don't even give the official an opportunity to make those calls. He made it. I just don't, Giannis, I don't even know what you were thinking. I really don't. I don't know what Dragic was thinking. I believe they got they nitpicking, you know, back in my day, if there wasn't no blood drawn, there was no foul call. I get all that. Yep. But it's not back in your day. And in today's game, a lot of the ticky-tack stuff that in years past they let slide, they're not sliding. They're not let sliding anymore. Skip, they used to let your hand check. You could literally steer the guy like you're steering a car. They don't let your hand check anymore. Okay, we get that. So, given the way they officiate games now, you don't even put yourself in that situation, and then you don't have to worry about it.
Okay. So, as I watched these two calls unfold last night, my first reaction was, I wouldn't have made either one of those calls, but I am older school. I appreciate the new school, but I'm with whoever tweeted you last night or responded to you about back in the day. I'm more back in the day on this. I would definitely ref down the stretch of a big playoff game. I would let them play. Let them decide the game. I'm not going to decide for them. But by the letter of today's NBA law, that was a foul and that was a foul. Because today they are trying to go for shooter safety.
You got
shooter safety. You have to let them land cleanly and without incident on the way down. So on the Chris Middleton play, if we see that one first,
Dragic tried to get slick.
He just edged into the landing zone just enough, and then he leaned forward just enough that by the letter of the law, it's a foul because you were in his landing zone just barely, and he's going to hit you and fall. Now, did Middleton lay it on thick?
Oh,
he did. You got it.
You should get a Golden Globe for that one. So, not an Oscar, but a Golden Globe.
Would I call it? No. By letter of the law, was it a foul? Yes, it was. And by the way, I'm just glad it wasn't LeBron having to go to that line and make 3 free throws. That would have been a whole...
How LeBron get in there?
It would have been Friday the 13th.
LeBron would have hit the shot. It would have been a 4-point play.
Really?
It would have made it moot. We don't win the game with a free throw.
And to Chris Middleton's credit, he just marched to the line and said, give me the ball. And he goes, swish, swish, swish. Nothing but net 3 straight times. And he did it so fast, he didn't even mess around. Like, he made 3 in a row before. I'm like, wait, was that the third one already? Yeah, that was the third one. Okay, now we get down to the final play. You might think, well, were they trying to give a makeup call back?
Balance it out.
Yeah, to balance it out? No, they weren't. They showed you how they were calling the game.
Thank you.
They're calling it tight. They're calling it by the letter of the law, the new age law. So what do you think's going to happen if Jimmy Butler goes up, if we could see the play, to shoot it? The ball is gone, and as he's coming down, Giannis goes over and pushes him off balance just enough that it makes it a dangerous fall. Is he laying it on thick? You better believe he is. But Giannis put a hand on him and moved him a little bit sideways to where it's more of a dangerous fall to earth, you know, onto the hardwood.
And Mark Davis is right there on top of it.
Right on top of it. He's going to call it. They had just shown you that's how we're going to end this game. We're going to go tweet, tweet, tweet all the way home. And I wasn't surprised because was there contact? Yes. There was contact. I believe subliminally, psychologically, I believe Giannis, like too many of today's star athletes, lives on social media. He's talked about it before. He absorbed, swallowed, you know, took to heart all the criticism that he took for where were you on Jimmy Butler when he was scoring 40 in the previous game. So in the back of his mind, he's thinking, oh, well, maybe I better come off my man because this is it. It's down to zeros on the clock. Maybe I better make a run at Jimmy Butler so they won't hound me on social media, so they won't blast me and condemn me on social media. I'm going to go get into this play a little bit. And he overdoes it. He can't stop, and he puts a hand on Jimmy Butler.
Skip, if it was game 1 and Jimmy has it going, I could see him coming to give Wesley Matthews some help.
Yeah.
But Jimmy was struggling on the offensive end. He had only taken 7 shots up until that point. He was 3 of 7. He was over from the three-point line. So why? Matthews has him dead to right. He stops his initial because and Matthews right there. Skip, sometimes you got to give the other. Sometimes a guy can play great defense, and you hear the guy say, that's great defense. That's better offense. If a guy hits my best pitch, Skip, I got to live with it.
Yep. By the way, they let Wes Matthews get away with reaching in. No, he reached in first on the dribble and slapped him across the forearm, and I thought that could have been called a foul, but they let that one go.
Right.
And then he's fading away, and that happened. But to your point, it was another weird Jimmy Butler game.
Right.
He scored 40 points in game 1.
Right.
He took 20 shots. He made 13. And then to your point, even with the last shot,
it's only 8.
He's 3 of 8.
Right.
Jimmy, where are you?
Right.
He went passive. He sort of just drifted through the game. It felt like he was trying to prove his point that they don't need me to score big. We don't need that. We got a lot of guys who can score, and they do.
They got, Skip, 7 guys in double figures. Dragic led the way with 23, but you see a bunch of 16s, 14s, 16s.
You do.
You know. And so for me, Skip, I just don't get what Giannis was thinking, Skip, in a situation like that. If somebody has it cooking, yeah, you want to come double, but Wes Matthews stopped his initial and got him falling away from the basket with no time from 20 feet, and you foul him.
Yep.
Why?
And by the way, Jimmy stepped up to the line, and he had 2 to make 1.
Right.
In that first one, I thought it was out.
I did too.
Because it hit the front rim on the ricochet so hard that I thought it would just edge right over and fall off. But it somehow popped up in the air and fell, and I don't know how it came back and fell in. I thought it was teetering to go off, and then all of a sudden it reversed itself and fell in.
I mean, he like better did like AD in the All-Star game. Remember AD in the All-Star game missed the first one on purpose.
Really?
Just to put that pressure on himself to let him know what it like.
I'm not sure Jimmy wanted to have to make the second.
No.
Ooh.
Let that first one go in and it's over.
Yeah, and it was like a hand of God. The hand of God just sort of pushed the ball back over the rim. But in the end, Miami outplayed them from start to finish. Miami is the better team on the floor, maybe not on paper, not in the odds makers' eyes, but they're just playing better, and they are better.
The Bucks got their work cut out for them, Skip, because the biggest thing is that the Heat don't fear them. The Heat beat them in the regular season. Now they've taken 2 of them from them in the playoffs. And the thing is, Skip, is that there is no home court. You're in an empty gym, so you're not getting any boost from the crowd. You're not getting it. And I think that's the biggest thing, because, you know, sometimes you're down, the crowd gets going, and you go on a 10-2 run, and you still get spurts here and there.
Yep.
But the Bucks got their work cut out for them. I knew Miami was good. I didn't realize they were this good. Because when you look at them, Skip, you're like, okay, But that kid, Tyler Hero, he's not afraid of the moment. That joker taking he's taking 26-footers like I'm supposed to be doing this.
I got to tell you, I didn't see that at Kentucky.
No.
I watched him a lot. I never saw that.
And Bam is just being Bam. But like I said, I still don't know what Giannis was thinking. There was no need. There was no... Wes Matthews, I can see if Jimmy was cooking Wes like he was on like the other day, Skip, on Monday. Giannis, come help me. But like I said before, that's not, Skip, first of all, that is his game. He's a help defender. He's not an on ball. He's not about to sit in the chair at 7 foot tall on the perimeter and chase guys laterally all around the court. That's not what he does. But he'll come from the weak side, he'll come from the back side and block a layup or block a dunk or something.
Yep.
And what he was trying to do, he was come with some help and help Wes Matthews. But in that situation, Wes didn't need it. You put yourself in harm's way. And as you said, they had just told you what they're going to do on the previous year like 10 seconds ago.
Yep, I agree.
Okay, my bad. 4 seconds ago. And boy, they got their work cut out for them. Can they win 4 of the next 5, Skip? I don't see it. I really don't.
I'm going to say this again about Giannis, and I got nothing against him because he seems like a great kid, and he's still a kid, but he just did something historical. He just won, or we think he's going to win, MVP, Defensive Player of the Year in the same year. Only Jordan Olajuwon did that before him.
Right.
In that context, given the bar raised that high, he's just overrated.
Oh, he's coming up small.
Yeah, he's coming up really small, but he did it last year in the last 4 games against Toronto.
Right.
And here we go again. A good team, a smart team, a well-coached team that says, I'm sorry, we won't let you come in here and do that every time down.
Right. Because, I mean, he played better, Skip. He was 10 of 18. He was 9 of 13 from the floor. Yep. He only attempted 1 3, so he got away from shooting those threes because he's not very good at that. But
what happened with 43 seconds left in the game? It was still a game, 43.9. What happened? What's his Achilles heel? Giannis went to the free throw line. Maybe we should see this. Free throw line, Giannis up and that was almost an air ball.
Almost.
Maybe you better get a little air underneath it. Maybe you better get this.
He overcompensate.
You better overcompensate a little bit and you back iron it. And that would have cut it to 4, and it's still a contest.
Right.
And that takes the life and heart out of your team. You're the MVP. You got to make one of them. Just make one.
Right.
They're free throws.
Yeah, it's that was Skip. You hate to see that. You hate because it doesn't happen often that a game ends like this with no time on the clock and somebody's making free throws. You don't want it to see it to end like that. No. But you can't put the official in that position. Because more times than not, he's going to make that call, Skip.
Yep.
Because that's not one you want to go back and you have the official review, they should have called a foul. You can't have that because, man, that don't do me no good, but I'm going to be 357 hot.
No mercy. All right, guys, breaking news out of Brooklyn. The Nets have signed Hall of Fame point guard Steve Nash to a 4-year deal to become the next head coach of Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving. Since retiring, Nash worked with KD and the Warriors as a consultant for their finals runs, but hasn't done any official coaching. Gotta say, when I saw this breaking news, I had to reread it a couple times. Shannon, what do you think? What do you make of this hire?
They're hoping they get the same results that the Golden State Warriors got, Skip. I think that's what they're going for. As Jenny mentioned in the read, he was a consultant with the Warriors. It's reported that he has a great relationship with Kevin Durant. He also played with the general manager of the Brooklyn Nets, Sean Marks. So given that...
In Phoenix.
So, Skip, for me, the thing that I'm starting to see about basketball, yeah, you need to know X's and O's. But when you have great players and multiple on one team, it's about managing egos. It's about managing personalities. I'm not so sure that Phil Jackson is the greatest X and O coach. But how do you manage Shaq and Kobe? How do you manage Michael and Scottie? And how do you get Michael, even though he's so dominant, to get him to understand, okay, Michael, yeah, you're the best, but you can't just suppress everybody. You got to hear him out, and you got to listen to him sometimes. You got to trust him. That's what it's about, Skip. And so you see him at Golden State. Steph is the top dog. Get KD coming in there and like, okay, guys, yeah, it's Steph. KD's the best player, but Steph is still your team. Hey, we need you, Clay, to guard the best guy on the other team, but you still need to give us your 20. So I believe that's probably the main reason that he was able to get this job. Kevin Durant signed off on this. Because guess what? You got 2 alpha dogs. You got 2 dogs in there. You got Kyrie and you got KD. And so now, Karis LeVert said, guys, y'all see what I did down the stretch? You see what I did in the playoffs? I need some minutes. And Spencer Dinwiddie and Joe Harris. So you're going to have to manage all.
Dinwiddie wasn't even there.
Right. But he had a 50-point game. So all these guys, you're going to have to manage all these guys. You're going to have to divvy up the minutes. Somebody's going to have to go to the bench. And somebody's going to have to be accepting of that role going to the bench. I'm surprised. I'm shocked, just like everybody else, that he got this job. But I kind of like this pick. I like it. I like the hire.
I'm sorry. I would have liked Ty Lue more.
Oh, yeah.
I don't understand what went on behind the scenes about Ty Lue. It just seems so obvious. He's made to coach this team. The experience he's had with star power, superstar
Well, maybe
power.
KD hold that against him that he coached LeBron James.
It's possible, and I thought about that. I don't know that for a fact, but maybe. But Ty Lue coached LeBron James. Ty Lue is helping coach stars, obviously.
Kawhi, Paul George.
Yep.
Played with Kobe and Shaq.
And he's a Doc protege. He's been with Doc a long time.
Right.
And Doc is the best. And Ty Lue is right there. And Ty Lue needed a little break away from sitting in that head coach seat. And I think he'd be rejuvenated and he'd be really good with KD and Kyrie. But clearly they said no.
Right.
They made this hire. You know it and I know it.
Yes.
This was their directive Oh, maybe Sean Marks presented this,
Right.
but KD clicked with Steve. He worked closely with him, individual
Right.
workouts.
Yes.
You see the video that we've been showing, shooting workouts.
Right.
What do we know about Steve Nash as a player? Well, all he did is win back-to-back MVPs.
Yep.
I did not think he deserved the second one. I thought Shaq did, but still,
Right.
little Steve, he's actually about 6'3", but he played small.
Right.
He was the center of that universe in Phoenix, the D'Antoni universe, and they would spread the floor, and he would go in the middle and create all kinds
Right.
of extraordinary shots because he's got basketball genius
Right.
about him. He had one of the great handles in the game,
Right.
and he had some of the best vision in the game. And they used to tell me stories about what a great leader he was because every night off on the road, he tried to get everybody together for team dinners. So Sean Marks would know he's got leadership genes in him. Okay. And he's coached how? No, he's coached zero.
Right.
He hasn't coached in the G League or college basketball or anywhere.
Right.
He's not coached. He's a soccer analyst at this moment. Now he's got a new job.
Right.
Again, soccer is his
He
favorite
loves,
sport
yes.
out of Vancouver. So all I know is, to your point, Steve Kerr had no coaching experience, and he did pretty well. I'd have to say, right?
Yeah.
So I'm not going to condemn this. I'll even give it. I'm good with it.
Did Pop have any coaching experience before he got to San Antonio?
He was the GM first.
Right. I don't even know if Pop had coaching experience.
I think he coached in college.
Okay.
At lower levels.
Right. But I clearly, Skip, they saw what happened in Golden State.
Yep.
We took a job because, if I'm not mistaken, Steve Nash was an analyst at TNT. So it's like, you know what? This might work out. We might can find lightning might strike twice. He was in Golden State. He knows the inner workings. He's very innovative. Offense, they want to push the pace, get up and down, spread the floor. He has a great relationship with Kevin Durant. Sean Marks knows him. They have a personal relationship because he played with Steve Nash in Phoenix. I mean, Skip, when you really get down to it and look at all the components, it makes sense. Of all the coaches that could possibly be out there. So I guess now that Pop, because Pop did put his house up, I guess he's moving to a bigger house. Because, every time.
Well, it's not to New Jersey. I'm sorry, to Brooklyn. Yeah.
With Skip, he put, Pop house. I told you he was taking a Brooklyn job. Maybe you want a different house. Maybe downsizing.
Maybe. It's way too big for one guy.
So, but for me, Skip, when you look at this, Skip, and just look at it, okay, it makes sense. I mean, he has a relationship with KD. Obviously, KD is the best player. You're going to bounce you're bouncing everything off KD. If you hire a new physical therapist, you hire somebody to pump up the balls or somebody to wash the clothes, it's going by KD first.
You know what? I think it goes by Kyrie first because it seems to me, from a distance, and yet I've heard this from behind the scenes,
Right.
KD does what Kyrie does. He sort of goes along with Kyrie.
Right.
Kyrie said, let's go to Brooklyn. Okay, let's go to Brooklyn.
Well, Skip, KD is more like, I just want to play basketball. All the other leader stuff, because if you look at OKC, it was Russ.
Yeah.
You go to Golden State, it was Steph. So I can see that it being Kyrie, he just wants to play basketball. He ain't all that rah, lead me, follow me. Hey, guys, this is what we got to do. Kevin Durant said, toss it up.
That's true. I would agree.
Just toss it up.
Kyrie is outspoken on all fronts.
Yes.
He's always got a big opinion about whatever
Right.
is in the news. Not Kevin.
They ran it by KD. KD knew about this one.
Well,
KD said,
obviously, and Kyrie had to. They had to sign on.
Right.
It might have been their idea to start with.
Right.
That's all.
I'm surprised KD didn't put that out there from his burner account. I believe Steve Nash gonna be the next head coach of Brooklyn.
Maybe.
Like, man, somebody playing game. He got that. Ain't got no picture up there, Skip. Just that blank profile.
If he put it out on a burner, nobody would have believed it. They would have laughed.
Exactly. Just like when he be roasting people, ain't nobody believing it's him behind that empty screen.
All I know, this team isn't just lightning in a bottle. It's like a tsunami in a bottle because after what I saw Brooklyn do with Jacques Vaughn, by the way, Jacques Vaughn knows how to coach, and he's going to be the lead assistant.
The highest paid assistant.
And at least Steve can turn to him when it gets to X's and O's strategy.
Right.
Who should I sub? Obviously Jacques will say, hey, he's got 4 fouls. Maybe Steve's not thinking along those lines.
And the thing is, Skip, is that you remember Steve Nash first year, they won the title. So Brooklyn make the playoffs.
Hey, they are loaded.
They are.
They got obviously two of the, you could argue, top 10 players.
Well, they definitely got two of the top 5. I believe they got two of the top 5 players in the East.
Yep.
They got number 1, and whether you want to rank Kyrie, I mean, Jason Tatum coming and Giannis. We don't know how much longer Giannis going to be in the East, but that's...
Karis LeVert looked like a star to me.
Yeah.
And Dinwiddie has had star moments.
Right.
And
but you can't keep all of them, Skip. You're going to have to move somebody. Because you want to re-sign Joe Harris, who's going to get a premium. You got Kyrie and KD on max contracts.
Yep.
So they're going to... Hey,
I already told you during the playoffs, I said, this team, when those two come back, this is the favorite next year in the East.
Yeah. So, man, y'all better load up. You better win. Yep. But we got something brewing. We ain't worried about next year. Yeah. We got something. We brewing this thing tonight.
So it's going to be Clippers-Nets in next year's finals, right? Clippers-Nets. Yeah, that's it.
Because they won't be in this year's finals. Your day coming.
Well,
your day coming. You all the key. I know you.
Okay. Funny.
We're already going next year. Let's just...
Exactly.
I'm still processing.
You heard that too, huh, Jenny?
Yeah, I heard that. We still got to get through this playoff, Skip. I like this move for KD and Kyrie. They needed someone they would respect, and no one says anything negative about Steve Nash. I think I might have become a Brooklyn fan over here. This will be fun to watch.
No mercy.
NFL.com had their analysts predict who will win each division this coming season. The Cowboys received 27 of the 35 votes to win the NFC East, with the Eagles receiving the remaining 8. Mike McCarthy was cited as a main reason why Dallas should win the division, because he will, quote, turn that talent into production. So, Shannon, are you ready to change your mind about the Eagles winning the division?
I should, Skip, but I'm not. Jalen Reagor hurt his shoulder, so he's going to miss the first couple of weeks of the season. Alshon's going to miss the first couple of weeks of the season. Brandon Brooks, who's one of the better guards, one of the 2 or 3 best guards in all of football, I think he ruptured his Achilles again. Dillard, the left tackle, who they drafted number 1 last year, 2 years ago, I think, and he was going to replace Peters, who they're going to put at guard. And now Peters say, well, y'all playing me guard money and y'all want me to play left tackle. Y'all need to put some more change in my pocket. All these reasons, I should pick the Cowboys. But Cowboys do Cowboy things. Like when expectations are placed high, like with the great the First Lady, Michelle Obama, when they go high, we go low. So when expectations are high, that's what you do, Skip. Cowboys go low. They go up under those expectations. So you and all these experts got them winning the division. I do not. Darius Slay is a nice addition. Do you remember what he did to Amari?
Yep.
You remember, right?
I remember what everybody did to Amari on the road.
We're going to do
it on the road.
We're going to do it to him on the road and at home. Hold on. You just told me CeeDee Lamb is the new number 1.
I did, and I'll repeat it. He's the new number 1. So I already predicted it. I saw it first. You should give me credit for that. It's happening before your very eyes.
It's not going to happen. Look, I understand that the Cowboys are loaded, the talent. But there's something called expectations. And for the last 25 quarter century, the Cowboys have not met those expectations. I see this as another season in which they will not meet those expectations. The Eagles will win this division.
Only back to 2016, Dallas won the division. Only back to 2018, Dallas won the division.
Who? Okay, if you don't mind me asking.
Now it's 2 more years later, Dallas is going to win the division.
Oh, Skip, hold on. Y'all got 5 Lombardis, and you up here talking about divisions?
Did those 5 teams do Cowboy things, those Super Bowl winners?
Yeah.
They did Cowboy America's team things. They went and won it all.
Man, you know what, Skip? I'm trying to think. You know, I was like 24, I was like 25, 26 years old then. Last time y'all were really good.
You know what? I'm in a good mood today. I'm going to give you a break. I will let you out of all the bets that we have on Cowboys or Eagles.
I refuse.
Because it's not fair right now.
I don't want it to be.
The Eagles are a disaster waiting to happen. They're already happening disaster. And obviously, as you keep telling me, Dak is way better than Carson Wentz.
I ain't never tell you that.
You've been campaigning for Dak to get $42 million.
Whoa.
Yeah.
CC. You see what you did?
Yes.
That's a disinformation. I've never said Dak Prescott is better than walking to him. I'm saying he should be adequately compensated to the tune of $40+ million because that's what the price is.
It's called speaking out of both sides of mouth. And you have a great side on this side of the mouth, and I like the other side too, and they rival each other.
See, you know what I noticed about you, Skip? When I critique Dak, if I give him a grade, you don't like that. Now I say, well, Dak has played really well, these clutch throws, these big-time throws. Oh, no. Can that man get his money? Tell Jerry to go ahead and cut him a check for $250 million for 5 years, and we're going to be happy. Okay, $250 for 200.
I will admit to you, what is happening right now in the NFL world as we approach the start of the season
1 week
is a little scary to me. I told you through the offseason I got carried away a year ago, and 8-8 happened.
You did.
But it was old 8-8 Jason Garrett still at the helm, and he's gone. He is now running the New York Football Giants offense. Good luck to you up in New York.
You know they're going to carry him off the field when they beat y'all.
Okay.
They're going to carry him off the field. You know that.
I will bet you 5 more cases the Giants don't beat the Cowboys either game. I'll do it right now. Do you want it?
They're going to carry Jason off the field.
You want it? Five cases right now.
Skip, everybody get beat up. We'll see as we get closer. That might be something I might be really interested in. No, when they play in New York now, not when they play in Jerry World, in New York.
So there are 35 voters at NFL.com, and 27 picked Dallas over Philadelphia. The bandwagon is rolling.
Yeah.
The train has left the station, and it has become a runaway
I didn't
train.
get on it, though.
Yeah. This is a rocket ship to the moon now, featuring my Dallas Cowboys, and it's hard for me not to get carried away along with everybody else.
But you do that every year.
I know, but this is different.
Why?
Mike McCarthy, a made man with a Super Bowl ring, is running my team, and I like the way he's carrying himself and speaking publicly. It rings true with authenticity and commanding voice that we have not had before.
Skip, you don't think there's something wrong with that? You talk about a man that had 2 quarterbacks, the only 2 quarterbacks he's ever had, has 5 MVPs, almost 1,000 touchdowns between the 2 of them. And what else he got? Like 140,000 passing yards. And he got 1 Super Bowl to his name.
My defense was a disaster last year. It's why we fell behind Mike McCarthy's old team, the Green Bay Packers, at home 31-3. It's mostly about defensive breakdown.
Whoa. You ain't mentioned nothing about that offense. 3 points?
Wait a second.
Okay.
Look how much better the defense is. Everson Griffin, all he did was make a Pro Bowl last year. He's now a Cowboy.
I thought you told me that was on paper. They're better on paper.
They're way better on paper and on the field. Dontari Poe.
You ain't seen them play yet. How you know they're going to be better?
I just know Aldon Smith is going to be a force and a factor. Clinton Dix will probably pretty soon have a new running mate at safety named Earl Thomas. That's what I believe is about to happen. All of a sudden, Wolf Hunter is healthy this year. That's by all accounts. He was not healthy much of last year. And on offense, they're loaded. Most people are projecting them top 3 offense. Dak at the helm. Zeke's is going to have a bounce-back year. CeeDee Lamb is going to change life in Dallas. I said it on the day after the draft. I told you all college football season. He's the best receiver in college football. He led college football with 21.8 yards per catch. He's big time. He not in just physical, but intangibles. He is a game changer, a takeover wide receiver. That Amari doesn't have those kind of intangibles. He will lift Amari, and Gallup is going to just feast as the second receiver because he's going to get deep and he's going to get paid.
So Amari's CeeDee Lamb's going to be the number 1.
Go to, yep.
And Amari's going to be number 2. And Gallup's going to be number 3.
No, he'll be code number 2s. It's 2 and 2A. 1,000. And
he's going to be cool with that. You do realize that Gallup's is going in the contract year. You know he won't contract,
That's what I just said. He's going to get deep and he's going to get paid.
By the Cowboys?
Yep, by the Cowboys.
Oh. So the Cowboys pay. So you do know that Dak watching the show. He's like, well, Skip said Gallup should get paid. He's going to get deep and get paid. Zeke got paid. Ty Smith got paid. Zach Martin got paid.
Yep.
Amari got paid.
Dak is getting paid. He's making almost $32 million. $32 million?
I just want to know one thing. Which one of those guys that I just mentioned signed a 1-year deal?
Well, wait a second. Dak makes $12 million more than the next paid Dallas Cowboy, who is D-Law at 20.
Hold on. D-Law got how much? 60+ million guaranteed?
Yep.
Dak got how much money guaranteed? 30, 33, 34? Mm-hmm. So how is that comparable?
It's all guaranteed.
1 year.
Yep.
1 year.
Next year, he could get 38 guaranteed.
No.
That's a great
Dak
deal.
says, why do I have to keep signing these 1 year deals, these what they call prove-it deals?
Because your agent asked for way too much money.
What's way too much?
Money.
What's way too much?
$42 million a year.
No. Mahomes gave you a discount. Mahomes should have asked for 50, and they would have gave it to him.
He was an MVP and a Super Bowl MVP.
Yes. So
Dak's not that.
And he gave them a discount at 45. He should have got 50 with 200 fully guaranteed. But he said, you know what? I want Kelsey to get some money. I want, Cheetah going to come back up for a contract. I want Chris Jones to get paid. That's what I'm going to do that for y'all. But guess what? He says, Dak says, I'm not doing that for you, Jerry, because you know why? You made me play this contract out. You made me play it out.
Okay, good. He'll be just fine. My draft class, led by CeeDee Lamb, you're going to have to remember every name. Trevon Diggs is going to have impact on my defense. Bradley and Nye is going to be flying off the edge, making tackles and sacks. Neville Gallimore is going to be disrupting coming up the middle. You watch.
You know what, DJ? You remember D-Jack? D-Jack backpedaled on y'all in the end zone. First time he dropped the ball before it, he said, you know what? I left a touchdown out there. Let me go get me another one. D-Jack, deuce out. Who y'all deep? Who gonna cover D-Jack? Who gonna cover Zach Ertz?
Who's going to protect Carson Wentz? He's going to be under a siege that he's never been under by the Cowboy defense.
What happened last year? He wasn't under siege that last game.
Yeah, and he piled up 17 points against my team. Way to go, Carson.
Hey, hold on. 17 points? Well, how many of you guys have if y'all lost?
Amari quit.
Oh, my goodness.
Not only did he quit, he got yanked in the fourth quarter.
So you putting all that on?
Jason Garrett said, I can't watch this anymore.
I'm gonna just make sure I'm hearing you correctly. You putting all that on Amari?
Yep. All the road losses at New England, at Chicago. I'm sorry.
At New York.
Jets.
Really, Skip?
Yep.
That's what you're doing tomorrow.
CeeDee Lamb changing life in Dallas. So I'm getting carried away, and they're going to waltz to the division
Remember, I
title.
keep telling you that.
Waltz.
Minuet. Too quick.
Yep.
Too quick. Fall in love too quick.
Yep.
Take your time, Skip.
I'll let you out of the bet right now. I'm feeling good.
Skip, take your time.
It's like you're going to get steamrolled. It's not even going to be close.
The general rule of thumb, take your time. Date a while. Get to know them. Just don't hand the key over the first night you meet the first at the bar. Here's the key. Come over whenever you want to. That's what you're doing with the Cowboys. You ain't even date them. Do you even know her name? Do you know her parents' name?
I know this team.
Okay.
Inside and out. You know it, and I know it.
Okay.
Yep.
You do this every year.
No, I don't.
September 6th will be our 4-year anniversary. You do this every year, Skip.
We got this. Well, I'm just picking the division. I didn't say.
No.
I didn't even predict they're going to win one playoff game. They're going to win the division.
No. The way you talking, they got to go all the way.
No, I didn't say that. I got Tampa Bay in the Super Bowl. I already got them.
Hold on. I'm trying to help me understand this. A team that you've been rooting for since 1960. A guy goes to this one team, and in 1 year, you put the team that you've been rooting for since 1960, you put them down for another team.
I told you back in September, you spat out, we're going to break, and you said, Jerry Jeudy's the best receiver in college football. I said, stop.
Yes.
CeeDee Lamb. I'm not even sure you knew who he was yet.
Yeah, I know who CeeDee Lamb was.
Back in September. Jenny knew. Now I know.
Exactly.
I've been hearing great things about Jeudy.
Really?
Catch after catch. I'm talking about spectacular.
I always hear great things in August.
Exactly.
Hold on. Yeah, and you just told me about CeeDee Lamb.
Yeah.
Well, you act like this is a new thing, Shannon. Skip has been in a relationship with CeeDee Lamb since his college days. I mean, geez, he's been a part of this. He's committed. This
I can't tell.
He's
been talking about Chris Godwin and Mike Evans.
No mercy.
Well, last night provided another thrilling end to a Game 7. James Harden went 1 for 9 from beyond the arc for only 17 points, but made up for it on the defensive end when it mattered. Up 1 with 3 seconds left. Harden blocked the three-point attempt by Lou Dort. And after Houston made 1 of 2 free throws, OKC had a second left to inbound, but couldn't complete a pass to get a shot off in time. It was a crazy, crazy ending to that one. Fox Sports NBA analyst Chris Broussard joining us now. Chris, did the Rockets win this game or did the Thunder lose it?
Look, I'm fully aware that James Harden had yet another offensive clunker in a critical playoff game. And I got to be honest, he looked like he didn't want the three ball at all. The only time he looked like himself to me was after that block when he yelled into the crowd or whoever there was there into the stands. You know, that's the only time I saw that typical James Harden confidence and swag. But all that said, I'm still going to give the Rockets credit. And to me, they won the game. They didn't lose it, or OKC didn't lose it. The shocker is that they won it with their defense. At the end of the game, they took OKC out of everything it wanted to do. And remember, OKC was they were the best clutch team in the regular season down the stretch of games, and they couldn't run anything. That last play, I mean, first of all, they're lucky that Chris Paul's pass on the right wing didn't get stolen. Then they're scrambling. They get the ball to Lou Dort. I know he had a great game, but you know that was not the guy they wanted taking the last shot. And then on the inbounds, after a timeout, you get to draw up a play, and they can't inbound the ball. I have to credit Houston's defense. They forced him to give it to Steven Adams at the three-point line at the end of the game. Obviously, Harden came up. I give him credit. He didn't get down on himself. He didn't hang his head because he didn't have it going offensively. Great block by him. I credit the Houston Rockets for stellar. Never thought I'd say that about a Mike D'Antoni team, but stellar defense.
Skip, Skip. Chris, I'll give you credit. The Rockets did play excellent defense. But what happened on that shot that Chris Paul missed in the lane at 6 feet? Was that great defense? What about those two blown layups?
It was scramble mode. He's got to hit that.
What about those two layups that Schroeder missed? Point blank range, just two layups, just flat out missed them.
Little contest.
I just think the thing is that in a situation like that, and I agree with you. I don't really like to take away from a team when they win, but if you beat me and I'm executing, I can live with that. And this is what OKC normally does in this situation. They normally execute down the stretch. And when you go 1 for 9 with 4 turnovers, and I'm trying to figure out, you mean to tell me Chris Paul is only going to shoot the ball one time in the final 8 minutes after he starts with a hot hand in the fourth quarter? He gets one shot? Chris Paul. And 2 of those shots that he made were 3-pointers. And he switched them. Nah, I can't. Look, the Rockets were unbelievable. James Harden is bought in, and this is why they're playing so well defensively, because he's their best player. And your best player buys in, everybody else has no choice. We know P.J. Tucker is a defensive guy. We know Robert Covington. 2 years ago, he was first-team All-NBA. We get that. But you can't win with just 2 guys playing defense and everybody else lollygagging. And you definitely can't win. With the way James Harden played, say, his first 4 or 5 years in Houston, man, they'd have lost by 20 points because he didn't even care about defense. Now he's trying to block shots, he's contesting, he's boxing out. And the biggest thing I noticed, ever since Giannis slighted James Harden in the All-Star game, when he said he wanted to take somebody to play defense, and he's like, I want to, and when they lost the game, they said, we was going at James Harden. James Harden has been a different guy on the defensive end. We know he can score, but he's turned it around on the defensive side. No, he's not sitting in the chair. But as far as stealing the ball and getting deflections, but for me, I still believe the Thunder lost this one because they were uncharacteristically bad over the last 5 minutes of the ball game, where they've been historic over the last 5 minutes. They've been really great this year. So I'm gonna say the Thunder lost it as opposed to the Rockets more so winning it.
Chris Broussard, I have been trying to alert and convince my partner across the table for the last 2 months. Something is going on in Houston. In all my years of watching, covering the NBA, back to the days I covered the Lakers for the LA Times in the 1970s, pre-Magic, Kareem was there. I have never seen a superstar transformation like I've seen over the last 2 or 3 months that they played basketball from James Harden. He has gone from, if I don't have it on offense, I will play hellacious hard defense. I will be the driving force of our defense. All of a sudden, this team that used to rest on defense, the team, you know, the word dog now in the NBA has, there are 2 connotations to the word dog. You know, there's, you play like a dog on defense, meaning you're going to fight and scratch and claw. you're going to be a tough guy. There's also you played like a dog, as in you played half-heartedly,
Right.
you quit, you were lackluster, you didn't care. Well, that used to be James on defense. I love watching the Rockets play defense because they're so small. What's Covington, 6'7", maybe?
Yeah, he's the tallest guy, probably 6'7".
Okay, so you go 6'7" and below. And last night, a lot of times, James Harden wound up covering Steven Adams. He did. He took him a lot. 6'5" on 7 feet. And he played his tail off trying to keep Steven Adams away from the basket. He fronted him. He backed him. He fought him, scratched, clawed. They all play like dogs in a great way on defense. And I'm talking about PJ and Covington's made first team all defense before. Russ will play hard on defense. And all of a sudden, their identity is switched to defense. They are leading the playoffs in turnovers forced. That was a beautifully ugly game last night in the fourth quarter. And again, Chris Paul leading the NBA in clutch points. He was just having a hard time finding a shot. And when he finally did, in scramble mode, as you point out, Chris, find that little 7-foot little fall-away jumper in the lane, it seemed to startle him like, oh, wait a second, I'm finally open. And he short-armed it, and he left it on the front of the rim, and that was for the lead in the game, and it was huge. And I want to point out one last quick time, the shot of the night for the Houston Rockets was by P.J. Tucker, who's nothing but a corner three shooter, who got run off, we could see it run off the three-point line, and he went up and under Steven Adams. Here we go. James kicks it to the corner. That's a shot. Nope, there's Steven Adams, and he shoots a running 12-foot jump shot. It's not in his repertoire, and he swished it, and that became the winning shot of the game with 1:25 left. And then if we could go to the last play on Dort, obviously it had been the Lou Dort Memorial game. He had made 6 3-point shots and had the hottest hand on the court, and nobody guards James better. I've never seen anybody shut down James Harden like Lou Dort can, because as Shannon and I spoke earlier, he's like a strong safety playing defense, 6'3", 220. James can't get an inch on him, can't get by him left or right, and he's all over him when he tries to step back, pull up. There's no shot. And yet, on the last play, the crucial play of the game, James Harden is guarding, if you can see, Steven Adams. And at the last second, he says, okay, I'm guarding him, but I got a bolt. And he runs all the way out and takes a flying leap at Lou Dort, the hottest hand on the court. And I thought, oh, he's going to make his 7-3 and they're going to win the game. And James goes sideways with his off arm, because he's left-handed, and makes a sweet, clean block with no body foul of Lou Dort. And only James Harden would know how you foul three-point shooters, because he gets fouled more than anybody shooting threes, and he knows how to avoid. And he avoided, and it was the play of the game on defense by James Harden. Congratulations, new identity. Here come the Lakers. They are going to cause your team some problems.
Ain't gonna nothing. But, Chris, what about the inbound play? You call a timeout. You call 2 timeouts. And the best play you get is a 7-footer going away from the basket. Now, remember, P.J. Tucker is fronting Steven Adams at 7 foot tall. Just lob the ball over the top of P.J. Tucker.
Look, I'm with you. Your last resort, because obviously the last resort was Adams just run to the ball and get it at the 3. The last resort should be Adams dive into the basket and just throwing it at the rim. If you can't get it to Chris Paul or whoever you want to go to on the perimeter, have Adams go to the basket and throw it up. So I'll give you that. Their execution was poor. I said going into the game that a key was Chris Paul's offensive aggressiveness. And I think he's had this problem in the past, even in the playoffs, in that when he looks for his shot and scores 20-something points, they tend to do better, but he's a true point guard. And when he's getting everybody involved, and obviously he always is getting guys involved, but he took, 11 shots? Yeah. I need more from Chris. I needed more from that. So it was some poor execution, but I do give the Rockets defense credit. And Skip, you said it was kind of over the last 2-3 months of the season. That's when they went small. And then Russell Westbrook, I thought they went from being, Harden and then Westbrook a definitive number 2 to kind of a 1A and 1B on offense. Yep. And that took some of the load off of Harden, so he could, focus a little bit more on defense. because you didn't have as much of the offensive load. But I'm a bit concerned at the way he just didn't look like himself offensively. Dort is good, and he did a good job on him. But James, I've never seen him get rid of the ball so quickly at times. Like, it looked like he didn't want that three-point shot.
Hey.
I give him credit for driving to the basket, scoring a few layups.
He did.
And even kicking it out on the play you showed to PJ. But, we've seen this a lot from Harden. Not all the time, but he's disappeared a few times. That's concerning.
Hey, Dort has his number. And remember, they play in the offseason against each other in pickup games at Arizona State because they're both went to school there for a year. And yet, in the end, remember, James is having, as he said, he used that word on national TV to describe his, the SH word to describe his night. Well, look at Russell Westbrook in the fourth quarter. He goes 1 for 8. Would he have not been on the hot seat if they lost?
Yeah, but even though he'd have been on the hot seat, but not like James, because the best player will always take the lion's share of the criticism if you were to lose. Skip, when you go back and look at it, you look at the Miami Heat, they lost, but D. Wade and Chris Bosh doesn't get the criticism that LeBron gets. Anytime you lose, the best player is always going to take the lion's share of the criticism because you're going to get the lion's share of the credit when you win. But I'm looking at Chris Paul last night. He only took 4 shots. He made 3. And he hit those 2 bomb threes early in the ball game.
In the fourth
quarter. Skipping, so I'm like, ooh, Chris got it going now. He had 10 points. Chris should have shot.
Hey, Shannon, to Chris Broussard's point, he's notorious for not Doc used to scream at him, shoot it.
You got to. Especially he got it going. Normally, I get it. Sometimes you see Paul George like, man, I just can't keep shooting because I'm not making it. And Chris Paul had it going. He only took 4 shots. He made 3, 2 bomb threes. And I'm like, okay, Chris, go ahead and do this thing. Now go on and bring it home. And then all of a sudden, he didn't take but another shot in the last 8 minutes. That can't happen.
You were just afraid of the Rockets.
Afraid of what?
Lakers. You wanted to see OKC because you know it would have been another cakewalk for LeBron and company. This will not be a cakewalk.
Harden, Garden, Lakers in 5. It don't matter.
I hope I'm wrong because I really want to see a great series. And I think the games will be exciting and good, but I'm with Shannon. Lakers in 5.
7.
5. Whew.
7.
I hope you're right. I hope you're right. I want it to be exciting, but 5.
Anthony Davis about to look like Wilt Chamberlain. I see 40 and 15.
All right, we're going to have plenty of time to deep dive into that series.
No mercy.
Fox NFL Sunday is back September 13th with a great slate of early games. Then it's a blockbuster in America's Game of the Week as Brady and the new look Bucks take on Breeze and the Saints. Check local listings for the games in your area or watch it on the Fox Sports app. Oh, so excited. We're getting close. But some surprising news out of Brooklyn this morning. The Nets have signed Hall of Fame point guard Steve Nash to a 4-year deal to become the next head coach of Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving. Since retiring, Nash worked with KD and the Warriors as a consultant during their finals runs, but hasn't done any official coaching. Chris Broussard is still with us. Chris, I want to know, what do you make of this? What do you make of this hire?
Well, I thought Greg Popovich would have been the ultimate hire, the ultimate win. But I have to be honest, considering their ages, Pop and Steve Nash, this might even be better. Look, Steve Nash has a great relationship with Kevin Durant. I don't know when or how it started, but it started when KD was in Oklahoma City. He used to talk basketball and strategy with Nash. He even talked about Golden State and the way they played their offense and how much KD liked it when KD was still in OKC. Obviously, that continued when KD went to Golden State. Nash was a consultant. So that's a great start for these two guys. He's going to have KD's respect. And I think Steve Nash is probably one of the few people on the planet that Kyrie Irving thinks can actually tell him something about playing point guard. So I think Kyrie will listen to Nash. I think he'll soak up what he tells him like a sponge. So obviously it's a great fit with the two stars. And Nash is one of the most, or has been involved with the most innovative and productive offenses we've seen in Dallas even. He and Dirk Nowitzki, that was one of the great offenses in the league, really in modern history. And then obviously what he did in Phoenix under Mike D'Antoni. So I kind of feel, he hasn't coached, so we don't know. But this reminds me of when Steve Kerr went to Golden State and he found a perfect offense for that group and took them to another level. I think he's going to be able to find a nice mix for KD and Kyrie and then guys like Joe Harris and Karis LeVert and the surrounding cast. So I think this was a home run for the Brooklyn Nets.
Yeah, I think it caught a lot of people by surprise. It caught me by surprise, but I agree with you. I think it's a great fit. The thing that I'm starting to see, unlike football, yeah, you need X's and O's, but you need to be able to manage personalities because basketball is such a superstar-driven sport. And if the superstars and the head coach doesn't get along, Skip, normally if the superstar and the head coach doesn't get along in football, guess who leaves? The superstar football player. But in basketball, if the superstar and the head coach don't get along, guess who's leaving? The head coach. And so he has a head start because he has this personal relationship with Kevin Durant. Sean Marks played with Steve Nash in Phoenix. They were together. So that's a relationship there. And as you mentioned, Steve Nash has MVPs. It's easy to talk to someone when you have credentials, when you have accolades. I mean, it's like, okay, Kyrie, I do have an MVP. I don't have a championship, but I have an MVP, which signifies that I had the best season or I was the best player in a given year. So, Kyrie can okay, is that the way you think I should have done it? He can shoot the ball. Steve Nash, if I'm not mistaken, Steve Nash might have been a 50, 40, 90 guy, Skip, because Steve Nash was money at the free throw line. He could shoot the three. He had nice handles, could get to the rim, mid-range game. So I like the hire. When I first heard, I'm like, hell, I didn't even know he was. Well, you have to figure. I figure everybody, if you sit on the bench beside the head coach, you have aspirations of becoming a head coach. So I shouldn't be surprised. But like you said, I believe they think that lightning can strike twice. They saw the success that Steve Kerr had in Golden State. Well, maybe we can find that here on the East Coast in Brooklyn. Let's bring Steve Nash in, as you mentioned. He has this relationship. He worked up under Steve Kerr for a number of years. I like the hire. But even if you didn't, it's hard to mess this up. When you got those two guys, Kyrie and KD, Skip, it's hard to muck that up.
I don't know. So, Chris Broussard, I got one bone to pick before I answer Jenny's question. Greg Popovich coaching the Nets, you think that was the ultimate move?
Would have been
Kyrie,
great, Skip.
That they would have lasted 15 minutes with Greg Popovich. He's Bill Belichick of the NBA. He's as old school drill sergeant as you can get. And he got away with it all those years in San Antonio because Tim Duncan and Manu and Tony Parker endorsed it.
They bought into it.
They bought in, especially Tim Duncan. Tom Brady let Belichick get away with it for all those years because he bought in and made sure the locker room bought in until Giselle finally went to Robert Kraft 2017 after, almost
18 years.
Yeah, whatever it was, and said to Kraft, why do you let the head coach still treat my husband like he's Johnny effing Foxborough? Well, that's how Kevin and Kyrie would have felt with Greg Popovich.
Giselle pillow talking, Chris.
Yep.
He pillow talking at night.
Right.
Okay.
No, I think they would have loved Pop. But go ahead.
I don't. All right. I'm not going to condemn the hiring of Steve Nash, though anytime you hire a coach who's never coached at all, not even at any level, there's some X factor. Obviously, Steve Kerr made it work beautifully. The magic move here was Ty Lue, and I just thought it was waiting to happen until these playoffs ended. After the Clippers won the championship, then Ty Lue would just segue right into Brooklyn. But Shannon brought up the point, a suggestion. Maybe Kevin Durant, well, Ty Lue's LeBron's guy. So I don't want him here. I don't want it'd be like I'd be following in LeBron's footsteps to try to win a championship with Ty when he already did that with LeBron at the expense of Golden State, obviously. So, yet to me, Ty Lue knows how to coach superstars. He coached the Drama King and lived to tell about it and won a championship with LeBron. That just made so much sense to me. But obviously, Kevin Durant and Kyrie picked Steve Nash. I don't care what you say. Maybe Kevin suggested it first because he had worked with and clicked with Steve in Golden State. And maybe Kyrie has had some basketball discussions about playing point guard with Steve Nash because Steve Nash is a flat-out genius playing point guard. He did things that we've never seen a point guard sort of create in that D'Antoni system. and he won back-to-back MVPs. Shaq should have won the second year, but still, he did it. So I'm fine with it. It's fine. If that's what Kevin and Kyrie want, be my guest. But Ty Lue would have been a better fit there to me.
I actually, and you're right, we haven't seen Steve Nash coach. But look, Larry Bird had never coached, did a great job.
He did.
Mark Jackson, who Kerr replaced, but let's face it, he did a good job.
He did a really good job.
So Kerr, obviously. So there's a precedent for even Jason Kidd, he's had a few looks, but he was pretty good, especially in his first stint. So I think there's precedent there. And for some reason, I like this better than the Ty Lue. If that would have been the hire. There are some that'll tell you Ty and Kyrie butted heads a little bit in Cleveland. Not that they were at odds, but there was some head-butting there. Maybe it was because of LeBron and his relationship with Ty Lue. But so I think that may have been a factor too. But I really like this hire. And Nash has a personality too. Even though he was a superstar and he'll get that respect, he's not, he doesn't have to be the big man in the room, and he doesn't have a huge ego. And I think that's going to really be a good mix there on that bench.
Is Mark Jackson, did somebody got a tape on Mark Jackson? Can he get an interview? They don't want to talk to him or anything?
I thought he would have been a good hire for this. I think he's been blackballed for whatever reason. I think he's been blackballed. There's no question. Come on.
The Knicks, he can't, the dude from New York. That's Taylor, that's on a silver platter right there, Skip. And he can't even get an interview.
I think it didn't end well in Golden State.
Okay, Skip. Okay. It didn't.
And it's a copycat league.
Yeah.
And when those owners talk in Golden State, as much success as they had, owners around the league listen, unfortunately.
And Chris, I got to bring this up because you can appreciate it as much as anyone can. Mark Jackson is, can I put it, very religious, like wears it on his sleeve, and some owners don't love that. Maybe it's a little threatening. Is that possible?
I think that's a factor. I definitely do. He was going back to L.A., back and forth, doing like Bible study and church services. So that obviously is challenging. But yeah, I think you're right, Skip. I think that's a part of it.
Well, in the end, my only thought about Steve Nash is the times I've been around him, he's a really good guy, a really nice guy. And I know, in that seat, you have to have some edge to you. You have to have a little bit of bad cop in you, and I hope he has some in him.
KD, take over. Kyrie, take. That's it. That's all you need to be able to do. When you got those two guys, that's all you need to be able to do.
It's a good point, Skip, because he is so well-liked and respected. Does he have that other factor where he can take it over the edge? Good stuff, guys. It'll be interesting to see how it plays out. Chris Broussard, always a pleasure. Thanks for joining us.
No mercy, and I won't back down.
Lakers head coach Frank Vogel already said he thought LeBron was taken for granted earlier this week. And now Kareem Abdul-Jabbar is saying the same thing, but he's taking it off the court. Kareem said, quote, "What LeBron James is doing off the court far outweighs what he's doing on the court. LeBron is standing on all of our shoulders. He's standing on Jackie Robinson's shoulders. He's standing on Jesse Owens' shoulders. He has a conscience and a heart, and he is setting the example for generations to come." Wow. Shannon, how does LeBron compare to other trailblazers of racial justice who came before him, like Ali, Bill Russell, Jackie Robinson?
Skip is different. In the 60s, the civil rights movement in the 60s is different. And although we think, and sometimes we see some things that remind us of the 60s, Skip, the 60s, it was like this every single day. And the athletes did not have, they were still segregated. Even athletes sometimes were traveling segregated, slept in different hotels room. But for Kareem to say this, I give a lot of credence to guys that were in that era. Kareem was a 20-year-old at UCLA when they had the summit in support of Muhammad Ali in 1967 in Cleveland, Ohio. And some of the greats, Jim Brown was there, Bill Russell was there, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Lenny Mitchell was there. So, Skip, for him to say this, I think the thing is that what LeBron is doing is that, Skip, when you play on the court, that's really for you. But Kareem says what he's doing for his community. See, I believe a lot of guys before LeBron was morally conscious. Skip, they knew that they should speak out. They knew they should do and say more. But they didn't want to take that hit from the endorsers. It's hard for me to believe that as big as LeBron James is, Michael Jordan was not just as big, even though there was no social media back then.
Agreed.
But he was unwilling to take that ding that LeBron James is willing to take. Before LeBron James was willing to move free agent, guys weren't willing to take that. LeBron took all that heat, Skip. He took all that. They beat bashing him. And then those guys like, okay, Kevin Durant said, it's okay. Anthony Davis said, it's okay.
Yep.
LeBron James stepped out and spoke out against Trayvon Martin. Yeah. Got on the campaign, with Hillary Clinton in Ohio. Other guys are starting to see, well, hell, so what if I lose a few followers? So what if I lose a few dollars? But I know in my heart of hearts this is the right thing to do. And I think when it's all said and done, Skip, he will be looked favorably. Skip, I'm not going to say he's Jackie. I mean, what Jackie Robinson had to go through, I was reading excerpts and how Brad said, look, we don't have an army. We can't fight this thing every day.
Nope.
You're going to have to let a lot of stuff go, Jackie. And he did. So, Skip, I don't want to say that. Ali gave up 3 years prime of his career to fight for what he believed in. But I believe LeBron is fighting for what he believes in. And even though he might lose some followers, he might lose some fans, and maybe an endorser or two might say, you know what, this is too much heat for us to take. But for what he's doing, Skip, I do believe when we look back 30, 40 years from now, I believe he will be looked upon favorably for the things that he did off the court.
I think it's now.
Yeah. But even
it's not going to take 30 years.
Even more so. Even more so.
Look, I have long saluted LeBron James when it comes to crusading for racial justice. Never in the history of sports have we had an athlete as outspoken on all these issues as LeBron James. Never. The time has been different, but he still exhibited huge courage to take the stands that he started taking. What? How far back do we go?
Well, you go to Trayvon Martin.
Okay,
so that was 2012? I think 2012. 2013.
Okay. And even before then, he was already showing you.
Eric Garner, I can't breathe.
Yes. He was showing you just raw courage, and angry courage on social media.
Right.
So I don't want to overstate. Look, he came to us in a little more enlightened time. Because obviously, starting in January of 2009, we did have our first black president for 2 terms.
Yes.
2009 to 2017, we had Barack Obama.
Correct.
Can you imagine a black president in the 50s or 60s?
No.
No, it was impossible.
No.
So the reason this is slippery slope, I'm going to say it again. Do we have 1,000,000 miles to go? Yes.
Yes.
You know that better than anybody. Do we still have enormous issues when it comes to white cops and black people? Yes, we do. So I don't want to overstate that the times are so much easier now, because they're not that much easier.
Right.
But the point was, I don't think, to my knowledge, that LeBron lost any endorsements over his stances. I don't think so, because it's...
You might get crushed by the fans for pulling the endorsement. They might boycott you for boycotting him.
Correct. So has he lost social followers? Maybe, but look how many, you always tell me how many he has. I lose track.
I think it's around 70 million on IG. Close.
So, did he lose 7,000? Maybe. Maybe. But he has 70 million.
Right.
It just shows you the times, they are a-changing.
Right.
He came at the right time, but he's still right on time with his messages.
Right.
So did he risk as much as Muhammad Ali? No.
No.
Because,
nobody did.
My God, that's 1967 to 1970. It was really 4 years, from 25 to 29. He could not fight because he took a stance.
Yeah.
I will not go. I got no quarrel with them, Viet Cong.
Right.
Okay. So you're a draft dodger, and there were a lot of black people in those days who were down on Muhammad Ali.
Yes, because a lot of people said, hold on, wait a minute.
Yep.
Just because you fight, that don't mean you exempt. I had to go over there and risk my life.
They did.
Skip, people don't realize that. That a lot of people in the black community was out on Muhammad Ali because they like athletes, but they don't want them to get the benefit. Hold on, I put my life, I came back limbless. I put myself in harm's way. And now you saying you don't want to. Well, I didn't believe it, but he was like, I don't care. Take the boxing away. I'm not going. I'm not.
Bill Russell, from 1957 and 1969 in Boston, Massachusetts.
Ooh.
Do you have any, because I don't, but do you have any idea the racial hate he withstood, that he felt, that he had to fight back against?
Think about that, Skip. They won the title, 8 years in a row. And the vitriol that they're spewing towards him, he's the greatest winner in team sports. Mm-hmm. And this is what he's having to go through as a black man, that everybody knows who he is. So if Bill Russell is going through that in Boston, what chance do a black guy that's not named Bill Russell or does not play sports has to?
Did LeBron have to go through anything the way Jackie Robinson did from 1957 to
47.
Oh, I'm sorry, 47 to 56. That range. No, obviously not. Jim Brown, trailblazer.
Yes.
So courageous. And then John Carlos, Tommy Smith.
68
on the
Olympics.
Medal stand at the 68 Olympics. Black glove, one raised right hand, one left fist, left fist, right fist. They lost everything.
They got sent home, Skip.
They didn't have that much to lose, but they lost it all.
Because they were amateurs. So you got sent, and they got sent home.
Their careers
was over.
Were over. Kareem had to fight through a lot in his freshman year at UCLA. It was just different then. But that doesn't take anything away from, I even thought of Doug Williams.
Yes.
He broke through.
Yes.
I got to know him when he was at Grambling before he got drafted. He was a trailblazer, but he was not an outspoken trailblazer, in part because he couldn't be.
No.
Or he wouldn't have lasted.
There were only a handful of them. And you get Joe Gilliam and you got Shaq Harris.
Yep.
Skip, there were only a handful of them. And they were looking for, first of all, they didn't really want blacks because they didn't think they had the mental makeup. They can't think on their feet. So they didn't really want the black playing quarterback to begin with. You speak up, you gone. That was it. So it'd have been cap times 5 because they were just looking for a reason not to have. Skip, it's hard for me to believe that you look at Lamar Jackson. Do you know how many Lamar Jacksons there were in college before Lamar Jackson was Lamar Jackson?
Good point.
They didn't even get an opportunity. No, you can't play that. You got to play wide receiver, running back. You can't play quarterback.
That is correct.
And so, but for LeBron to speak, but Skip, there have been other guys that had these opportunities that career was not on the line and chose not to speak. So don't say, well, it's easy now. It was easy then.
Yeah, it was. And by the way, I'm glad you brought up Colin Kaepernick. Obviously, he risked everything and he lost it.
Lost it all.
Looks like he lost it all.
It did.
As far as
the NFL, I mean, Nike signed him, and he does some stuff for Nike, and he still has a great initiative and voter registration and know your rights and things of that nature. But his NFL career is gone. It ain't coming back. And you and I, we talked with maybe, and then you and I came to the realization he ain't playing no more. The owners got in their mind, we're going to make it, because that's what punishment is meant to do, Skip.
Yep.
Punishment is meant to not only punish the offender, but to deter others from such said acts. That's what punishment is meant to do. So next time you think about, think about what happened to Cap. Remember what happened to Cap. Don't let that happen to you now. And that's what happened. And so, all the apologies and Commissioner Goodell, but this wasn't Commissioner Goodell. Commissioner Goodell was taking them arrows for those 32 owners. Yep. That was the owners that didn't want Kaepernick back. That wasn't no Roger Goodell. Roger Goodell works at the behest of them.
Well, he's tried to make some amends.
Yeah, he tried to make, but he can't. Yep. He can't say, well, put him on my team.
He doesn't have a team.
Exactly.
Right.
The guys that have a team, what they say, well, come on in here. Let's talk to you. Ain't give him no equipment. Ain't got him a pair of shoes yet.
So I love the way Kareem put it.
Yes.
LeBron is standing on the shoulders of all those men who had all that courage to stand up and fight back. But nobody has been able to speak out the way that guy has.
No. And they're getting there, Skip. If you look at the NBA, they're getting there. They're making changes. And the players, I heard what Dak said. Dak said, I believe guys should be able to express themselves however they choose. Skip, we brewing for a showdown in Jerry, right? You know that's happening. You know that's happening, Skip. You know it's happening.
Sunday night.
Somebody's taking a knee. And I'm not talking about before the anthem is played. Somebody is taking a knee for the Cowboys.
I hope that doesn't become the story of opening Sunday, but it's going to be up there. That's going to be opening Sunday night.
Yeah, is it? They play Sunday night?
Sunday night.
Okay.
At SoFi. Rams.
No mercy.
WWE Thunderdome. The aftermath from the incredible Universal Championship triple threat match, plus the stunning partnership between new Universal Champ Roman Reigns and Paul Heyman, is explained on an all-new Friday Night SmackDown, 8 Eastern, 7 Central on Fox. James Harden and the Rockets snuck by the Thunder last night thanks to Harden's play on the defensive end after a poor night shooting, which he acknowledged. Houston now advances to face LeBron and the Lakers, who have not played a game since Saturday. Will the rest help or hurt? Shannon, who wins this series and in how many games?
You already know, yeah. Hey, man, your little LeBron going to be making a lot of appearances because I got a feeling GOAT going to be doing GOATish thing. You see he flipped it. Since game 3, he been in playoff mode. 30, 30, 30, 36. I mean, he's doing it on you know what, Skip? He ain't taking a whole bunch of shots, is he? I don't think he's attempted over 20 shots.
Really?
And be getting triple dubs and all that.
Is he going to go dark beard or gray beard?
There you go. Don't worry about the beard.
I'm excited to see
Don't worry about the beard.
Which beard is he going to wear?
We got the baddest beard. That's what we going to have. We're going to have the baddest beard.
Yeah.
AD going to punish Covington. Going to punish PJ Tucker. I'm going to be very disappointed if it's not at least 35 and 15. Going to crush them on the boards. We're going to beat them every night by at least 15 on the boards. Going to limit the turnovers, whitewash.
Thunder won the boards last night by 2.
That's the Thunder.
Yeah.
So,
Thunder was really good.
Really, Skip?
Good basketball team.
So I tell you what, it don't even matter. You can have Harden, you can have a Pardon, you can get a Garden. Lakers in 5.
You might need a pardon.
The Lakers in 5.
5?
If you keep talking, I'm going to grab a broom or a vacuum cleaner.
I was just going to say.
You keep talking.
The case you made sounded like sweep.
I mean, we got to get some work. We need some work. We can't keep sweeping people and having 2 weeks off.
Go sweep. Just do it. Come on.
Now, I like 5 games because I want this thing to play out.
Have some guts. Have the courage of your convictions.
LeBron James will average another triple-double.
Okay, for the whole series.
For the series.
Okay, we'll go sweep. I'll bet you 2 cases they don't sweep. Why not?
Because, Skip, I got too much respect for James Harden, and I know he's struggled in a few games, but James Harden can go get 50. I ain't saying he's going to get 50 in a game 6 or game 7, but we're not going to even get there. But this many.
This one's going 7. These are not the trailblazers that you're dealing with now. This is not the worst defensive team in the bubble or in the NBA. This is one of the best and one of the most difficult to play against because it's hard to simulate in practice how they play their amoeba zone where they're all scrambling here, there, and everywhere. And somehow it's coordinated. Somehow they all communicate on this sort of extrasensory level where nobody gets left open often. Chris Paul was having a hard time finding a shot last night.
Well, Dort got open for 12 threes.
Yeah, because they just said, that's the one guy we can ignore.
So who you going to leave? You going to leave KCP, Danny Green?
I thought you were down on Danny Green.
I ain't down on the Lakers. Who they going to leave open? They're going to leave open KCP, Danny Green, Kuzma. Who y'all leaving open, Skip?
Every time I watch them, the Rockets play defense, it looks like they have 8 guys out there on the floor.
But it's easy to do that when you don't have a big that can punish you inside. What are they going to do with Anthony Davis? You still hadn't told me that. If Olajuwon coming back to play like 3-4 games for him?
They'll bother him.
Bother him?
Yep. They'll push him out. They get physical inside. Is he a physical player? Not the last time I noticed.
You grew up in Oklahoma. You've seen a lot of horses.
Yep.
Flies be flying around them. They still eating.
I grew up in the city. You keep putting me in the country. I don't know horses.
Oh, you ain't go there?
No.
Well, let me tell you, they be out there eating, and the flies be flying around. They just switching with their tail and just keep on eating. Okay. So they'll bother him, but they'll bother him to the tune of 35 and 15.
You know what I loved about what James Harden said after the game?
What'd he say? He got lucky. Did he say that?
No, but when he was asked about the Lakers, what were his first thoughts? He said, star power. Because he knows he's got Russ with him. It's James Harden and Russell Westbrook against LeBron and Anthony Davis.
I got the Lakers in 2.
Do you want to go?
Lakers in 2. See, you put it like that.
Yep. And I'm going to remind you, James Harden and Russell Westbrook grew up in communities just sort of south of what's called LAX here, the LA airport, Southern California. James was a huge Kobe fan growing up, so a huge Laker fan.
Yeah.
And Russ was a big Magic Johnson fan and also a huge Laker fan.
Yeah.
They're going to rise and shine against the Lakers. They're built for this. They were born to do this.
Skip, they beat the Lakers. What was that? That was the 80. That was 86. They beat the Lakers on a Ralph Sampson tip in. I think they beat them in 6 games.
Yep.
That's it. Ain't no more. It's over.
Ancient history.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Was anybody from Houston born in 86? No. I think Russ is the oldest. Russ might be born in 88. All the rest of them, no.
Is Avery Bradley going to show up for this?
We don't need, hold on.
Oh. Huh.
We good. You see LeBron. You see LeBron, how LeBron D'd up Paul George and Kawhi on the last shot? D'd him up.
Is he going to guard James?
No. Is James going to guard us?
Yeah.
Woo!
You better believe it.
Okay.
Do you realize how many threes the Rockets are launching?
Yeah, they launched
You
him.
realize they averaged 45 a game in the regular season. In the playoffs, they're averaging 51 three-point attempts
81.
a game. They made 16 a game in the regular season. Now they're making 18 a game. That's only 36%, but it's so many threes that it's hard to overcome 18 times 3.
We're gonna run you off the 3.
Yeah.
We're gonna let PJ Tucker. If PJ Tucker average 25, okay, y'all got us.
Well, you've been off for a long time. I kind of like the Rockets in Game 1. I'm feeling Game 1 Rockets.
No, that's not what you feel. You didn't have that meal mess you be drinking, so your stomach grumbling. That's what you feeling. You're hungry right now.
No, I'm good.
No.
I got 51 grams of protein.
So let me ask you a question. So what you got? You got 7?
I got 7.
So you got
I'm
Lakers
not
at
gonna
7.
pick
You
the
got Lakers at
upset.
7.
Yeah, but I might as well be picking the upset because I got Lakers in 7. It's going to be good to the last drop.
When last time LeBron won 7 games? LeBron won 7 games. Oh, we won 7 games with the, if I'm not mistaken, we won 7 games with the Celtics. And we went to the Garden and did a number on them. LeBron James. First of all,
you don't need to go anywhere but the bubble.
First of all, if we go 7 games, you know it's over. But we're not going 7. We're not going to be dilly-dallying around. We're dead serious. Now, I got to get, I'm going to make a few phone calls. I'll make a few phone calls today.
I told you, you should have swept the Trailblazers.
No, we didn't need to.
Now the playoffs start for real. This team is for real.
What you think? We play? Do you really, Skip? Do you realize?
I hope they have your attitude going into game 1.
Do you realize what you're up against?
Pick a sweep.
We're more than
Or
formidable.
2 cases. You can just,
We're more than
steal 2 cases from me. It's like a gift from the Diet Mountain Dew gods.
Ah, dang.
Huh?
Oh yeah, that's you know what? We play. Hold on. When we play y'all? We play y'all Friday night. So we play y'all Friday night, Sunday. So when I come back in here on Monday, little Penny, little Braun will be back. And I just want you to know, as we advance in the playoffs, the figurines get larger. The figurines get larger.
Really?
Yep.
I think you're going to come back 1-1 on Monday.
Put 2 cases on it. Put 2 cases on that.
Put 2 on a sweep.
No, I told you 5.
I'll do both those bets.
5.
You know?
We got 5 games. 5.
Okay.
We not gonna exert any more energy, but we need to get some playing time. We need to play together because we hadn't been playing together. We hadn't played because that's an excuse somebody else used when you lose. Oh, we only played together like 2 minutes.
No mercy.
The Nuggets' hard-fought series against the Jazz went 7 games, and now just 48 hours later, Denver will face a well-rested Clippers team that hasn't played a game since winning their series against the Mavericks on Sunday. So, Shannon, who wins Game 1 tonight? Who you got?
Are they gonna be rusty, Skip? I mean, that's what you asking about somebody else?
Yep.
I just think the first game, I think they just exerted so much. 7 games, and every game really 5, 6, and 7 was like 7 games for the Nuggets. And I just think they're going to be a little flat tonight. I think the Clippers win very comfortably. I'm going to say they win 120-105.
I hope you're right, and I think you're dead wrong on this one. I'm not going to pick the upset here, but remember, Denver just won 3 straight games, 3 shootouts against Utah. They're going to come in rolling and hot and feeling good about themselves. My team has been resting too long.
Skip. They scored 80 points the last game against Utah.
Well, that was choke city on both sides. That was 2 teams not ready for prime time.
I mean, but you have to realize that the Clippers have more firepower. You can't just gear up your defense to stop one guy. Paul George is eventually he's gonna make some shots. He's going to keep averaging 11 points a game. I don't expect him to average 35 like he did when he snapped out of it, but he'll get to the 20s. Kawhi's been unbelievable.
He has, but this is going to go with the last shot tonight.
No.
This is going to be a tough one.
Fitting.
And I think Paul George is going to make the last shot.
Fitting.
Yep.
They went by fitting.
Yep, you better be right.
Interesting. That is it for Undisputed. We're back same time tomorrow morning to break down everything from Clippers Nuggets. I am so looking forward to that series starting. Have a good day, guys.